This is bigger than the internet, bigger than Bitcoin, bigger than anything that's ever happened.
Are we all builders, or can we just add that to our business cards as we hand them out?
There's a lot of AI abilities, so to speak, and tools that we all have access to now for free or next to nothing. We can all build things now. You could literally build an app, you could build a page, you could build a chart, you create a video. I mean, there's so many things as builders now and what we can do with AI that it's mind-boggling, and it's only going to go faster and faster. Well, anybody can build a website. Well, maybe not everybody should try to be a website builder.
With us all being builders, it pushes my creativity. It challenges my creativity. But I love that about AI, that it's pushing us business owners to really think about how can it help us.
Any human can be directing any of these AI tools to create whatever that they can think of. We started this journey, a couple of years ago, right? And we started building our custom GPTs for our agencies, right? Well, guess what? We've been able to take those custom GPTs and then create skills out of those things, right? And now from those skills, we're creating agents out of those things.
If you are going to be the builder, be the student of the craft, find the thought leaders and stay in touch.
Yes, we can build it, but does it solve anything? So it's a question, should it be built?
This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe and let's geek out on AI.
Hello, welcome to another episode of AI Marketing Experts. I'm Laura Southerly with Activation, and I'm here with the group that we love to geek out on topics every week. So it's great to see everybody. And we welcome our viewers, our listeners, and those who have commented. We greatly appreciate it. So even before we start, we're going to remind, to subscribe, like, share as you wish, because we break things down as we geek things out on AI. We break it down, look through it, talk it through, have different discussion points about AI topics to help small business owners move forward and grasp some of the latest and greatest things that are coming out, because it's coming out so fast. I know we've already had kind of a quick conversation. I was mentioning the group here that I attended the 411 Fashion Tech Summit this week in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was a very unique event brought to us by Straight Line AI. And I tell you what, the people showed up for it. It was a sold out event that had all different levels of AI users. And you might think, well, that's kind of odd to go to a fashion event, but the common thread, of course, is just how can we use AI in our businesses? So that's what we're going to talk about today here, because one thing that was mentioned by a speaker was we are all builders now. And that's what got us talking earlier before we hit record, because it's a great thing to think we are all builders, but what does that actually mean? It does help bring creatives and our thoughts to reality quicker, but can we all bring it to the level that we need to? So what's the group thinking here as to, are we all builders, or can we just add that to our business cards as we hand them out?
Good point. I just wanted to chime in that you were in Milwaukee, and it's actually Milwaukee, the Algonquin term, which means the good land, as our friend Alice Cooper would have told us in Wayne's World. So anytime I hear Milwaukee, that unfortunately plays in my brain, and you guys all have to live into that little rabbit hole right now. But yeah, that whole concept of being builders and all of that is what we. Chris has shared a bunch of stuff over the weeks and months, and gotten all of us to geek out in the background on our own stuff. And the speed of change you mentioned as well is something I've been mentioning and warning all the audience that follows us and all these guys for 6 months now, 8 months, whatever it's been. It's an exponential curve, and it's one of those things you don't feel until it smacks you in the face. If you're not watching it, it's like, how did we get here? Kind of moment. And this is, as some great thought leaders are putting out there a lot lately. This is bigger than the internet, bigger than Bitcoin, bigger than anything that's ever happened. And the competitive advantage is going to those who understand that we've gone from simple, basic asking ChatGPT stuff to agentic workflows and knowing what that means already now. And then from the agentic workflow to the agentic organization. And that's not a 5-year goal. That's like in the next 5 weeks, maybe now at this point. I don't know. What do you think, Chris? But yeah, so I just think, it's, we have to, as business owners, always be stewards of our craft, learn more. There's an opportunity to grow and stay ahead of everybody else and do more, not necessarily get rid of staff, but do more with your staff, grow the business, just be so much better, farther ahead in your agency and your small business and whatever than your competitors, because you can tap into shows like this and you can tap into learning and constantly being a student. And this is the place you should be studying.
Definitely learning all the time. But to your point, John, when you're thinking about your team members, and that was one thing that came up, is that a junior designer or someone that may be a assistant in our businesses, they may not know how to fully execute something. And having the tools that we have now allows them to talk it through. So if they're not able to communicate what their vision was, being able to use some of these builders, now that we have them, they can demonstrate what they were thinking. And so now all of a sudden the creative juices are flowing. They're able to bring ideas forward and have other managers, owners, business owners look at that and actually then consider, okay, do we put this in a build format and actually take it to market? So I found that fascinating, that it really did allow people that may not have the strongest design skills or sketch skills or coding skills, all of a sudden see their ideas. They were able to take ownership of what their idea was and then present it in a fashion that the owners were like, whoa, we can actually use this in our business. Because think about our teams. They are talking to customers, talking to growers, talking to others. They're getting questions. And if they have an idea of how to solve that problem, that is a fantastic thing to build out.
Exactly
so, Brad,
right.
what are you thinking?
That's exactly right, Laura. So I still pronounce it Milwaukee, unlike John. And I have hung out with Alice Cooper, who is a very cool guy.
Yeah, and you have. Yeah.
I know I don't really look like the type of person who would hang out with Alice Cooper, but I did. I actually got kicked off Alice Cooper's bus one time because I kind of snuck on with a fake backstage pass onto the bus, and the manager kicked me off and chased me off the bus. So, side note. So, I think what was shared was super good so far, and I'm really looking forward to digging deeper into this subject. That literally now there's a lot of AI abilities, so to speak, and tools that we all have access to now for free or next to nothing, that we can become builders. But I also think that, like we talked about earlier, I think it could be really good for people to share ideas and to articulate what they're thinking and different things like that. But it's like the old adage of, even 10, 20 years ago, well, anybody can build a website, right? Well, maybe not everybody should try to be a website builder. There's lots of tools that make you think you can be, even in years past. And then it's like, yeah, my sister's cousin's brother built me an amazing website. And you're like, oh, shoot, no, I need some love, So I think it ties into what we're talking about here, and the fact that we can all build things now. We can all get instant. You could literally build an app. You could build a page. You could build a chart. You could create a video. I mean, there's so many things as builders now, and what we can do with AI, that it's mind-boggling, and it's only going to go faster and faster. But there comes a point too where it's like, you may use those things even to explain to your agency that you work with, to say, hey, here's some of the ideas I played with. I don't really know what I'm doing, but this looks pretty cool. What do you think? So I think that there's a fine line. That's basically what I'm getting at.
Exactly. But that helps. Oh, sorry, Jen. I was just going to say, then that helps it to take it to the experts to fine tune it and finalize it. It really shortened that conversations, because sometimes I know that when I've had some team members bring very unique ideas that as a business owner, I was sitting there thinking, okay, how many hours can we dedicate to seeing if it is even a project that would go to market? And I think that when I was in corporate life, we thought we did enough customer questioning and interviews and had their insight. Then we spent a lot of time and money to roll something out that laid flat. So also we're looking at it is going to shorten that curve, and then the experts can take over and really, like you said, present a functioning app or the website that can make the difference online. I'm sorry, Jen, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one thing that I think is really, I don't know, it's kind of pushing me at least, and I'm sure other business owners too, that with us all being builders, it pushes my creativity. It challenges my creativity, not in like, oh, can I build this presentation? What I mean by that is, how can I use AI in my business? How can I, like those, maybe creativity is the wrong word, but those, having that vision of what AI can do, I just feel like it can be challenging, and using AI to increase my creativity of how it can help my business is just this kind of a loop. But I love that about AI, that it's pushing us business owners to really think about how can it help us.
Yes. And I think that that's a very valid point, that what you just made, and I know that Chris will probably build on this easily, is that you figure out when you're talking it through, and then you see the results and you ask AI, how can I do that better and faster? It allows you start understanding the language. I heard the example of, if it was training us, if we would think of AI as learning a foreign language, we're speaking English, but we're able to, it's a different language, a different way. We find out that we're more concise, and we learn quickly what was missing in the initial prompts or the initial questioning. We just don't go, hey, build this X, Y, and Z. We now know. Matter of fact, the example they gave is, if we thought of shoes and we said we would like to see a shoe. Okay, then what kind of shoe? A wedding shoe. Well, then it was, okay, is it male or female? Is it a high heel or flat? So all of a sudden you realize that when you were asking it to build something, you started to provide more specific details up front. So again, to your point about the creativity, we know that that plays a big part and does get the creative juices going in the entire team. Chris, do you want to go ahead and expand on what it does take to actually get the code to those specific details? You just can't say take over.
Yeah. So when I first started working with Claude Code, what you just described there was exactly what was happening. Like there was this gap, right? You'd say, hey, go build this, and it would build it, right? And I think that's what's missing with a lot of tools right now is the context behind everything. Okay. So I installed a couple of weeks ago, I installed this plugin, ran across it for Claude Code specifically, called Superpowers. And Superpowers, what it does when you first tell it, hey, let's work on this next part of my project, or let's work on this project, it goes through and it does a very detailed question by question by question by question, and then it refines it into, okay, well, this is what I think, A, B, or C. Which one do you like, right? And then you tell it, okay, well, I like, and it gives you a recommendation, by the way, of I recommend A because of X, Y, and Z. and if you agree with it, great. You just tell it, hey, I agree with you. Let's go with option A. And it's this constant refinement of questions back and forth with the user that's directing the idea, right? To make sure that it gets the exact vision that you have before it goes off and builds anything whatsoever. Okay. Then it takes all of those ideas and then actually builds a plan out of it, almost like a project manager would, right? And say, okay, well, this is, we're going to do this in this stage, and we're going to do this in this stage and this stage. And each of those stages are going to have all of these sub, tasks that we're going to set up. It remembers all of that stuff because it documents it. And then as you build it, it documents in that document that, hey, this was completed. So you can pick up at any given point of where you are on building your idea, whatever that idea is. And it goes through this whole interview process for any major update. Sometimes, like today, I had it fix a bug in something. And it said, hey, we're not going to use superpowers. Are you cool with that? I didn't say it in that language, but, are you okay with that? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. This is just a bug. This is like one line of code that you've got to do versus 1,000 lines of code. So building that way, I think, I think it's really the way to go, right? And I've used other plugins like GSD, get stuff done, right, is the more political way of saying that. But superpowers, I'm really, really digging it the past couple of weeks, really liking it. And I think that's if that type of thing were plugged into every one of our tools as we're building stuff, that whole process, I mean, any human can be directing any of these AI tools to create whatever that they can think of.
And it helps
when you're going through that. I'm thinking, how much better can we communicate with our own teams, our own staff, our own customers, that we're more specific as to if we're looking for a request or we want them to accomplish something or provide something.
Right.
If we just kind of think of that human touch going, this is what will be beneficial. Mm-hmm. Jen, you had some comments?
I was only going to say that the working with the Superpowers plugin and having it ask just very specific questions about next steps. It's also nice to be able to see how it's interpreting what you're saying in case you need to adjust and say, wait a second, I think you're misunderstanding me in this area. And then it will recalibrate, but I mean, not really recalibrate, but you know what I mean? And then ask you different questions based on that. So yeah.
I wanted to zoom out a little bit from that, just because what it all. So we went down into superpowers is great, and superpowers is a plugin that somebody thought of and said, "Hey, here's what I do. Here's how I made it better." Andrew Karpathy, for example, one of the original founders of Anthropic and a whole bunch. I think he works at Tesla and AI and a whole bunch of other stuff. Right. Just a huge thought leader. He's come out with another thing. So an upgrade to the Claude MD file. So again, we don't need to get geeky. That is the root of when you're running Claude, for example, on Claude Code or Claude Cowork or anything like that. It looks at the MD, just means markdown, just means it's all those hashtags and weird stuff to figure out what it's all about, what it does. And just like it became the fastest moving they got 43,000 likes in the first 7 days. It's only 7 days old of how to create a better Claude MD file that has your all your coding agents, anything you ever do, think before coding, simplicity first, only surgical changes, and goal-driven execution. So point I was making is that superpowers is a process. A better Claude MD file is creating better output for everything, including superpowers, and that's bolted on. There was a thing about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago now, how to use to build an entire wiki system. So like Wikipedia, that gets smarter and smarter and smarter every interaction you have. So every conversation you have, that's all context and transient and disappears. But if it's held in a system that remembers it in the right order, and again, this is what I just mentioned is the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks for like the superpowers. How old? Not that old. That goes back to holy crap, because it is moving that fast. And if you are going to be the builder, be the student of the craft, find the thought leaders and stay in touch. None of this stuff, any of us, Jen, Chris, me, had to go and figure out how to build. Literally, I come across something new like that. I trust the source. Anything from Andrew Karpathy, I was going, dude, the dude's just brilliant. Like, he's literally one of these rare humans who's just absolutely brilliant. And he comes up with a thought exercise and said, ask your Claude to think this through. I go, okay. I grab a page. Hey, Andre's asking us to think this through. And it comes back and goes, oh my gosh, there's about 7 things I think we can change. We can adapt this. We can apply. And I go, okay, cool. Are we, and I'm also going to couch it against everything we've built so far and make sure, I don't want to go, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Here's how I think we can approach it. What do you think, John? Or JC, it calls me, right? And it's like, yeah, if you think that's a good plan, how do we, are we breaking anything? Nope. We're going to do this. And here's how it's going to live and how it's going to be durable and blah, blah, blah. And since you put the wiki thing in place last week, we're going to put that into this file. We're going to do this. And it's always going to whatever. So we're going to have a low amount of tokens every time, but whatever. And it just comes back with this whole entire thought because it went back to the wiki, figured out where we last left off, did this down its root rabbit hole, came back and said, there's your build. Right? So superpowers is great. This is an add-on. This fits here. Don't worry about that. You don't need this. And now it's not just shiny object syndrome. It is shiny object syndrome with a plan. So, right? So I just think it zooms back out to, holy crap, that sounds like a lot to the listeners who aren't halfway down the rabbit hole already. But the point being, you can either just buy the tool and hope the tool works. I've got a coaching program for our carpet cleaners, and it's like I'm teaching them how to prompt. And they're going, John, can't you just build me a app that just does all this for me? Yep, I absolutely can. And I can hand you the fish. But I can also teach you how to fish. And I'd rather right now show you said, your prompt is 7 words. This prompt is a skill that you paste in. And this is what a skill looks like. So let's start prompting in the framework of skills and then have it ask you questions because it's got huge context now. So I am showing them that, and some of them are going, holy crap, that's a lot. I wish I could just make it easier. And other ones are going, wow, you should have seen what I did on the weekend because of that stuff you taught me. And that's the divide that's happening in front of us right now as we speak.
Yes, absolutely. Brad, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. What John said. Some people just want the fish. Some people want to learn to fish. And my 2 cents would be there's some crazy higher level stuff that you can do, as what Chris has described and what John described, that may be too advanced for a lot of people. So to simplify it even more, there were some updates on the Google front. I use Gemini and NotebookLM a lot. My phone just perked up because I said the word Google, so it thinks I'm talking to it. But my point is you have the ability now with NotebookLM, and which is now baked right into Gemini and vice versa. So you have this ability to create this source brain or whatever you want to call it. So you literally could have a notebook about your front office and your shop, where in the back. You could have it where it's finances. You could have as many notebooks as you want, essentially. But think about it as you have this notebook, which is the foundation of everything that you're going to want to discuss. So you put in the sources that you want, whether that's SOPs, whether that's videos you've made, whether it's Google Docs, whatever it is, you can continue to add to this place, right? And so as you train it and you put all these pieces in there, it could be about your fitness regimen. It could be about your recipes and dinners with your family. It could be whatever you want it to be. But just think of it in the simple terms as this notebook is all about XYZ, right? And then from there, you now have the ability to create things from it. But I think more importantly, now that it's even more into Gemini.google.com, it's coming in. If you have a a personal account, it's already there. Certainly for personal pro account in Google. I know it's coming into workspace. So the business side of things. But my point is, is you now have the ability to talk. You don't even have to type. You just talk to this notebook you've created that's all about what you want to discuss, and now it will interact with you. You have the ability to talk to it about anything and everything about this subject or about this leg of your business or whatever it is. You can have it create things. Again, we're talking about being builders. So if you want to expand on that and create an infographic about your, let's say, your mechanic shop, the back side of it, not the front office, but the back side, you create an infographic about a specific thing you're talking about to it, about your shop. You could then even print the infographic, which is very walk you through. Some people learn by visual, right? You could put it on the wall in your shop, and the guys that come in working for you will go like, oh my gosh, wow, that makes it simple. You also have to think about this, and Laura and I talked about this week. This type of a tool that you're able to build in this case, Gemini, NotebookLM, is a training. This is how you could train your staff. You could train new people. Mm-hmm. You can do recurring training for the people that work for you, because you can mold this thing and put anything you want in there. You can create a slide deck. You can create audio. You can create video. You can create mind map. You can create literally a podcast where two people are going to talk about this subject, and you could even interject and say, oh, by the way, what about that part? And the two AI hosts of this fake podcast would stop and say, oh, wait a minute. Laura just joined the conversation. Thanks for joining us, Laura. That's a good question. And then it just starts talking. So think about it, how people learn differently, right? Some people learn visually. Some people learn with words. Some people learn all different ways, right? So it's just another thing that you can now build for free or next to nothing to enhance your business. And if you don't understand essentially what NotebookLM can do, then that's the place where YouTube is your friend, right? If you want to see, touch, feel, certainly you can try to figure it out on your own. It's not that crazy, but there's so many videos out there that literally show you screen share of exactly how it works and what's happening last week, next week, and beyond. So I think that portion of it can be a simpler piece for people to build on things that isn't so complicated that they need to know what an MD file is and they need to figure out Claude code. I'm not saying that some people won't, because like John said, some people are more attracted to that. So the people are looking for simple.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Brad, because you bring forth a lot of different elements of the way that they can use it for training, and even the quiz. That fascinates me, and the fact that if you are training an employee, or we think of how much time it does go into staff training or that ongoing learning, because we had talked about how important learning is, the quiz allows them to have kind of a check and balances that they've made it through the quiz. So great assets there if they're in the Google space. I think we've covered several foundations here, or I think that the thread that ties in all these different angles that we talked about is, as small business owners, it does give us a chance to reflect on our foundation, to look at what we're going to build into any of these systems so that our voice stays authentic. We're pulling our values through. We know what we stand for, and our team knows why, our businesses exist. So it is fascinating that it gives us a chance to stop and reflect so that we can have that master prompt ready, so that we can have those MD files ready, that we can have all of these assets built into whatever system we opt to go forward with. Once we can reflect and build that, I know Jen will have some tips here on how you should look at your branding over a while. Is it what you want? Jen, do you want to jump in here and provide your area of expertise as a business owners, what they should make sure that they have ready for these master prompts or whatever system that they are using?
Whew, that's a big question. I mean, you guys know there's a lot that goes into master prompts. But as far as the brand goes, I mean, if you're like, oh gosh, I'm on the spot on this. Anything that is like about your business, like the soul of your business, what makes you different? Like, I mean, your business different, what do you stand for? Things like that. I mean, that's what's coming to mind as far as brand. I don't know if that answers your question at all, but.
It does. And I apologize. I didn't mean to throw that at you.
No.
It was just, again, thinking about the foundational things that sometimes as business owners, we may have talked about our mission, our value statements and everything way back when we started and really haven't dusted those off lately. Oh, yeah. And I think that this is always a great opportunity that as we are putting these assets in play, so that our voice is being pulled through and our messaging is amplified online. We want to make sure that it's what we want out there and not just winging it every time. And then that way it's available for as our team pulls it through as well. John, you seem to...
You put
Chris?
that very well.
Yeah, I'm wiggly. So you got me wiggly. No, it's so awkward. No, it's so good. No, it's Laura that's normally the awkward one. No, just kidding. Anyways, so inappropriate. That was the word. No, go back to listen to past episodes if you guys want to. There's a chestnut in a few past episodes. Anyways, no, what I was going to say is that, like, even think of, like, we're talking about Brad keeping it at the higher level. So people like us can help businesses, agency owners, whatever, who go, okay, you guys just said a lot. Brad simplified it down to, hey, NotebookLM can be this thing. Jen's talking about branding. And another thought I just had, because I was just on the coaching call was last night. So I was talking to the students about who's your ideal customer profile? Because when I create all of my content now, I know the 2 target avatar profiles of our agency. And so when I'm writing content, hey, these are cool words, and my AI goes, oh, no, you built this avatar and they're not going to respond to what you just said. You're way over their head. Like Brad just said, John, what you and Chris have just said is way over most people, some of these people's heads. Rightfully so, because that's an adult in the room going, whoa, hold the reins, pull it back a little bit, right? If your team members are going, well, I think this is a great email. Okay, I don't want you to think that if it's a great email, I want you to give the premise of what you want to say and have it a couple different versions written that would be in the style and language of our ideal avatar. If you know your ideal audience, and again, no political statements at all, but if you know your ideal audience and you speak towards them properly, you could win a landslide election like Donald Trump, right? I'm Canadian, so I get to say this stuff. But because when you know the audience and you speak to the audience in the way you want the audience to interact, that's marketing. That is brand. Your brand speaks to the audience. Like if you're a high-end carpet cleaner and you talk like a trucker, you probably shouldn't write your own emails, right? But if you've got your avatar, your master prompt and your brand in there, and you've got it inside a NotebookLM or inside whatever, and you've got somebody like us saying, okay, we can help you build that. We can help you build all these things that can then be picked up and put into this platform or put in this platform. Oh, next week's a new platform? Cool. We've still got this root, and now you can play with all of this stuff. And you need a AI assistant named Hope? Cool. Here's what Hope needs to know about you. Whatever you need to chase your leads. Here's what they need to know about you. Who's your, right? So there is a core that every business can build around and then get that in place, have AI help them, and then geek out as deep as you want or keep it as surface level and hire people to help you as want, but you've got your team and everybody rowing in the same direction.
I tell you, go ahead, Chris.
So, and I want to kind of go on, expand on that a little bit. In our terms, with all of y'all that are here, right? All of us that are here, we started this journey, a couple of years ago, right? And we started building our custom GPTs for our agencies, right? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? We've been able to take those custom GPTs and then create skills out of those things, right? And now we can create from those skills we're creating agents out of those things. Right. So it started with that foundation of, and really the foundation was the standard operating procedures for our agencies. That's where it all truly came from, of like, hey, I need to solve and figure out how to write a good blog, right? Hey, I need to now take that blog and then create, some social media posts for that blog. And it was just one step after a step, after a step, after a step, after a step. And all of a sudden we have all of these assets that we can then transfer into different things. And it's evolved as AI has evolved with our own agencies, right? So that's really, it starts with your note here, your foundational pieces build into something else. And it's just like a regular business, right? We start at foundational. If we start on a wrong foundation, it's not going to progress correct. And so we have to go and fix those things periodically. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. I think that, I don't even know how to wrap that up, honestly, into a nice tight little bow, other than where are we going, right? How are we progressing? What's it going to be 6 months from now?
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that building on, as we're closing up here, is what we started with. It is always getting stronger. We're still reflecting. We're always learning. And I guess, yes, it was a simple topic today saying, hey, we're all builders. But as our listeners and viewers may have noticed, yes, we can build it, but does it solve anything? So it's a question, should it be built? And then the other, the way this conversation has evolved is, yes, it sounded very simple. It was a very simple statement. We are all builders. But as you can tell, it's never simple. And yes, it may have brought ideas forward, but working with experts, working with others, or leaning in and really learning your craft is the only way that you will develop what you actually want built. So with that, does anybody else have any other conclusions or statements?
I think we covered it today. This was a good jam.
Yeah.
Yes. John, would you like to direct our viewers and listeners to our community?
Yes. So AImarketingexperts.net. Also in the show notes down below. Join to the free community, get after show insights, notes, ask questions, vibe with the team, all that kind of stuff. We'd love to see you join the community. Just go check it out. Free to join. And as we start releasing any helpful information and courses and trainings and stuff like that, you guys will be the first to know about those, and also get founders savings and discounts on learning this stuff at depth to whichever pieces you want to learn at whatever depth you want to learn it. So we've got a mastermind of great people here that are all rowing in AI in slightly different directions, but all with the same end goal in mind of making it easier, better, faster, stronger for their teams, for ourselves, and for you guys. So check the show notes, check the wherever you're listening to this, the description, and come join us on the community.
Yes. And as he said, the community is free. There will be other opportunities as it grows. But again, subscribe, share. We are grateful that you have joined us today. If you have any questions or follow up, please leave your comments below. We really enjoy hearing from you. So for now, we say have a great weekend. Thank you for the listening and joining us at the AI Marketing Experts podcast.